Hi, this is Dr. Cairns, and welcome to week 3 of Organization Behavior. I trust everyone had a great Thanksgiving with family and friends and traveled safely. We're thankful that Timothy is healing nicely and look forward to actually seeing you in my face-to-face class. Several of you in the online course are also taking a face-to-face class with me in managing teams in conflict. And that's actually where I met Harold, one of our other students in the class, a few years back, and it's great to see he's completing his MBA and his MA. So it was a fun time to see him. So I feel like I have connectivity with many of you in this class, and it's actually always great to be able to meet you as well. So I just want to continue to look at our roadmap, where we're going, how we're going to get there. And this week you can see that we have some more readings in chapters 6 through 11 that you'll be reading, but you'll have till December 13th to complete the quiz that's associated with that. Again, the quizzes are designed to emphasize material that you're reading in the text. There's obviously a lot of material there, and what is the most important to focus on, and so I try to do that through the quizzes and then also through the forum discussions, give you an opportunity to apply the material as you're reading it. Also due this week is the group that you will be working with, groups of 2 or 3, on an applied organization diagnosis, an analysis of an organization of your choosing. And so I look forward to seeing what you're proposing there as well. Also, just to make mention of the forum discussions, they've been phenomenal, and this week it was really great to see your insights into Rango Part 1, and I'll review some of those questions in just a moment, but some really great insights that you had. I was telling my wife as I was reading them that I've shown this film in my organization behavior classes for at least the past 2 years. And each time that I show it, which is generally about 2 to 3 times a year, and I have different classes, some online, some face-to-face, and it always is amazing the insights that people have, and also the new insights. There's a lot that you pick up that I haven't seen, and new quotes, and just looking at it. So we'll talk a little bit about that as I move forward in this particular video greeting. So I'm really glad about that and encourage you to continue the discussions, and again, you're learning from each other. Also, the Christian Atheist, we continue our reflection there and applying that to organization behavior, and you've done a great job of including some very specific things of the concepts that you're reading in the text, and I would encourage you to continue that critical thinking and that application. And I'm really pleased that all of you are coming away with some insights into your own life, and I will say this continuously throughout the readings, but keep copies of your journal for yourself, and because there are things that is obviously it's refreshing and sparking and relighting your connectivity to God. So we're excited to see that happen through this reading, and also how you continue to apply it. Looking forward, I realized I did not put the poll into Sakai, so there's a poll in there now on the ways that you can serve God at work, and I have these listed here, and I'm asking you to take the poll and select one of those, and then we'll come back and talk about the impact of that on our lives, whether it's personally or professionally where we work. Also this week, you're going to be exposed to the concept of Type A and Type B personalities, and I'm sure you've all heard about Type A, and probably many of you consider yourself to be Type A personalities. Wouldn't be surprising to me. So we're looking at drive and how our personalities affect the sense of urgency that we have in the things that we do, and so in the need for achievement. So as you look at this particular question, are you Type A or Type B? And you can really sum it up where the world won't spin unless you're pushing it, and or the world stops spinning, it will let me know. So just kind of look at those definitions as we move forward and see the various elements and how it influences our leadership styles. And so the question would be, which personality type is the most effective. You may think it's A, you may think it's B, you may think it's both. We'll see what you think. Okay, and then just looking at various stressors and causes of stress, and we relate this to the job characteristics theory that I talked a little bit about last week, and you can see the influence that organizational stressors will have on the core job dimensions that are the most important to us and how they affect us there. So it's just something for you to look at the combination of these two aspects and the play that it has. Looking at drive, you'll see in table 7.2 there are a lot of different life changes that occur. Some very good, such as marriage. Others, such as beginning or ending school. Those are all positive stressors, depending on which side of the spectrum you are on. In terms of school starting, it might be a little bit more stressful. When you're finished, it's a different kind of stress. Now what do I do with this degree and the job that I want to have out of that? So what I would ask you to do this week is do a little self-assessment and look at the top 5 to 10 major things that are causing you stress, and an opportunity for you to consider how do you manage your stress and what are the things that you do in order to reduce the effects of stress from a negative standpoint on your life. We cannot avoid stress. It's a natural part of life, as you can see, but we can manage it perhaps more effectively. And so I look at drive in sense of one of the major issues of coping is our time management. How effective are we in managing our time? And that's an important element for you to consider, because we don't get any more hours in the day, and you get no less hours in the day than I do. So how do I really manage through that? And you might be surprised that about what I'm about to say is that a few years ago I was able to retire early from corporate life, and I'm now in what others would consider the second half or the final third. I consider it just a real new adventure as I'm teaching full time. But when I retired, I left a more structured world where I knew where I was going every day. And then when I retired, I had all of this free time in front of me of how did I want to spend my time? What did I want to do? And so in some ways, my time management became actually more difficult than it was when I had a very structured environment where I went to work every day. So just be thinking about the influence of that, because how we manage our time will help us to be able to reduce stress. So now I just want to move into our forum discussion this past week and looking at the questions for part 1 and those that you had to choose and the memorable quotes and things that you saw. And I just want to make one observation, because many of you saw, and I liked actually Timothy's example of Rango living in a terrarium, and I kind of consider it living in a box, which we all have a structure around us in which we live, and so did Rango. But what's interesting about the terrarium that Rango lived in, and even for us in the box that we have around us and the boundaries that are placed around us, there was no lid on the terrarium. At any point in time, Rango could have stepped outside of the box that he was in. And the same is true for us. And so it represents really our comfort zone, and several of you mentioned that aspect, and really that he was thrust out of that and then forced to adapt. And that really is how change comes about to us, that a lot of change pulls us out of our comfort zone, and then there are other changes where we have the opportunity to step out of our comfort zone. And those might be perhaps the most difficult ones to do. Obviously, we have no control of those that are thrust upon us, but it's the choices that we have to make. And sometimes we get very comfortable in our lives the way they are, and we tend to maybe not want to take a lot of risk. But within that world where Rango was, it was also preparatory for him for what I call leadership, and many of you were indicating that in your discussions. And I believe that most leaders come from obscurity, and unless you're born into royalty in the United Kingdom, you're not going to sit on a throne. and you're not necessarily going to be elevated to leadership in the United States. It doesn't happen. Maybe my family has a business, generationally, I may move along because of that, but the majority of leadership positions are ones that come upon us and that we may seek out, or they seek us out. Opportunities are presented to us, and some of those we make, and we can talk about that at a later time. But the point that I really want to make on this one is that while Rango was in his comfort zone, he was practicing and honing some of his skills for leadership that we see that he applied in the first part of this film. And let's see where it takes him. So something to consider, getting outside our comfort zone. This week, as we consider the questions for part 2, you see there are a few questions. You need to select 4. Also make sure that you include a memorable quote and explain why that was significant to you. And so lastly, in summary, this week, Rango Part 2, read chapters 6 through 11 of your OB text. Chapter 3 in The Christian Atheist. Take the poll, please, it's there. And then look ahead to week 4 for your classic theory paper. Also, your organization diagnosis proposal is due this week. And so, I have no special gift, says Albert Einstein, except I'm passionately curious. Take care and have a blessed week.